Welcome back to Prep Station Economics. We were learning about demand earlier. Did you notice something about my attire? Oh, it's the cap. Okay, let me ask you this question. This cap, is it elastic if I pull on it? Oh, what about this shirt? Is it elastic if I pull on it? Yes, the shirt is more elastic than this cap. So I'm going to put this cap right here and continue my lesson. We talked about elasticity of demand. How can demand be elastic or how can demand be inelastic, like the cap right here? Very good. So at the end of this, we should be able to talk about the meaning of price elasticity and, of course, income elasticity of demand. Also, we should be able to look at types of this elasticity. And we should also be able to look at graphs that explain this kind of concepts in economics. So let's jump right into it. So the first question is, what is price elasticity of demand? Very good. From the word, we already know the keyword is elastic. So can price be elastic? Yes, it can be. Can demand be elastic? Yes, it could be. So the question is how? Now, talking about price elasticity of demand is talking about the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded of a commodity to changes in the price of that commodity, which is also known as point elasticity of demand. What does all this long grammar mean? It simply means when price changes, demand also changes. Now, of course, we've learned that before. If price goes up, demand goes down, normally. If price goes down, demand goes up. I repeat, normally. It could be a different direction, abnormal demand. But the question now is, by what margin, by what volume, by what units would demand increase or decrease? If price goes down and demand goes up, will it go up so high? Will it go up just about the same change? Or will it not even go up at all? Or what's going to happen? That's a question about elasticity of demand. Now, we've learned that price elasticity is the same as points. But we also have income. Sometimes not only price that determines your demand, income sometimes determines it. So if your income increases as well, would you want to buy more of a product? Would you want to buy less of it? That's the question about income elasticity of demand. Okay, we also have cross elasticity of demand, talking about comparing products like an iPhone with a Samsung phone, or comparing brands like Versace and Gucci. You want to know if the price of Gucci goes down, what will happen to the demand of Versace? That kind of concept, or the price of a school, fees of one school goes down or goes up, what will happen to the demand of parents and students of another school? Those are the basic concepts. Don't worry, let's just get into the formula itself. So for you to calculate your price elasticity of demand, we must take cognizance of percentage change in demand divided by percentage change in price. We're talking about the change in demand and change in price, but in terms of percentage, what percent did it increase by, and what's the consequence of that in demand or price? Okay, good. So we know the formula. So let us see if we can apply this formula to a question. So we've got iced tea right here. So let's look at this. The price of iced tea increased from 100 naira to 200 naira. So that means it has increased in price. Of course, what would definitely happen when price goes up? Demand would reduce, right? Well, and the quantity purchased decreased from 1,000 to 500 units. So what is the price elasticity of demand for iced tea? So to solve this, since we know that the price is from 100 naira to 200 naira, it increased from 100 naira to 200 naira, and the units is from 1,000 to 500 units. So let's see how we can solve this. Okay, so let us take all this and use them in basic calculations. So look at it, change in quantity demanded, that percentage of it, and the change in price, the same percentage of it, gives us the formula for PED. And PED simply means what? Price elasticity of demand. So let us work on this. Give an example. Let's say we have people who buy Apple weekly, and they buy for 100 naira initially, and the price changed to 200, let's just say 150 naira. That's a change of 50 naira. And for no reason, 1,000 units of those were sold earlier, and now 2,000 of those are sold now. Like, this is the QD, this is the price. So let's use this formula, which simply means that, of course, this is the new, and this is the old. The formula says change, which change simply means new minus old divided by old times 100. That's a percentage. So let's do that with this same one. So the QD, now what's the change in the QD? That means the new minus old is what? 1000 divided by the old, which is also 1000, times 100, which is the percentage. Let's go with price too. The new minus old is 50, that's 50 naira, divided by the old, which is 100 naira, times 100, which is the percentage. And by calculating this, this would divide this, and the answer for this would be 100. That's 100%, I guess. And this is like 50 here is 1, 50 here is 2, and 2 here is 1, 2 here and 100 is 50. That means 50%. So of course, we don't need the percent at this point. We don't need the percent symbol. We just need to solve this. So 50 divided by, 100 divided by 50, that gives us 2. That means our answer is, the coefficient is 2. Our PED equals 2. Now, this tells us something about the price and the relationship between price and demand for apples. We're going to learn about the value and see how we can use this to understand how elastic is this demand. Is it elastic? Is it inelastic? Is it perfectly elastic? Is it perfectly inelastic? Or is it just unitary elastic, meaning the same change? Okay, good. So now let's go back to this very important table. It says elastic demand means that the coefficient of demand will be greater than 1, but will be less than infinity. Infinity is like a number that is like excessive. So perfectly elastic demand simply means the coefficient equals to infinity. And the unitary elastic demand simply means the coefficient equals to 1. It's just 1. Now, when you calculate it and you get 0, that's the coefficient is 0, that's E equals 0, that simply means that is perfectly inelastic demand. And when you have more than 0 but less than 1, we call that inelastic demand. So I want to draw a graph. I want to draw graphs that show all these types of demand so you understand them. Let's start with the first one, or I'm just going to draw all of them here, and let's see if you get them all. So I'm going to draw 5 graphs, and in those 5 graphs, we'll be able to identify which ones are elastic, which one is inelastic, which one is perfectly elastic, which one is perfectly inelastic, and unitary elastic. So I'll start with the first one, but please always label your graph properly, even if you're rushing or you have a lot to draw like me right now. So please always label your graphs properly. So P axis, Q axis must be there. So now, unitary elastic simply means there is the same change in price and the same change in demand. If you look at this, they're quite the same size of change from P1 all the way to P2, quite the same size. Now let's do the next one. What if it's like this? The change in P1 is like this. This is P1 and this is P2. This is Q1 and this is Q2. What did you notice? The side for P1 to P2 is quite bigger, right? In terms of size, bigger than Q1 to Q2. Therefore, this is actually what? Inelastic demand. We'll call it fairly inelastic demand or just inelastic demand. The next one is, what if it's like the slope is like this? Price is here, another price is here, and we have P1, we have P2, Q1, we have Q2. Look at this also. The distance between P1 and P2 cannot be compared to the distance between Q1 and Q2. Which one is bigger? Of course, Q1 and Q2 is bigger. Therefore, this is what we call elastic demand. A small change in price led to a bigger change in demand. So I'm just going to write this there. This is elastic. This is inelastic. And this is unitary elastic. So inelastic says that the E equals to 1, and inelastic says that the E is greater than 0 but less than 1. And elastic simply means that the E is, of course, greater than 1 but less than infinity. Now let us look at another concept of perfectly elastic demand and perfectly inelastic demand. What if the line is drawn all the way down like this, and we have also, this is D, and now there's different price levels, but demand has refused to change. So that is P1 and P2, and at different price levels, P1 or P2, quantity demanded has remained the same. What do we call this? Different prices changing, but quantity demanded remains the same. We call this perfectly inelastic demand. No matter what the change in price is, people keep buying the same amount of goods and services. That's perfectly inelastic demand. Of course, the opposite of this would be perfectly elastic demand, and that's a straight line like this. And this means that price remains the same, price is not changing at all, yet we have different, and demand is changing in different ways. It might be just 1 or 2 changes, but I just decided to make it 3 or 4. So that is, this is still D, and this is also Q bar. So this is price remaining the same, yet demand changes. This is what we call perfectly elastic demand. In reality, what you need to focus on is unitary elastic, inelastic, and elastic. Perfectly elastic and perfectly inelastic also exist in economics for the sake of understanding our society, which is very complex, but you will definitely be dealing more with elastic and inelastic demand. Okay, good. So I think we've understood this. Now, what kind of factors determine price elasticity of demand? What factors are these? Number one factor is the consumer's income. Another factor is the type of commodity we are dealing with. Is it an essential good? Is it a normal good? Is it a luxury good? What kind of good is it? Is it a free good? Is it an economic good? We also have lifestyle and habits. People have different lifestyle and habits. This relates more with taste and preference in talking about the factors of demand. And we also have availability of substitutes. When we have alternatives, the way we react to the price change matters. But when there are no alternatives, of course, that also matters. Imagine there's just one hotel in Abuja, or there's one hotel in Nigeria. What will happen? Even if you increase the price of the hotel, do you think people would pay less for it? Or do you think people would not still demand for it? There's just one hotel. There are no alternatives. So also time and season. There are different times, there are different seasons that affect our purchase of goods and services. So even when the price changes a little bit or changes like substantially, that would be determined by the time and season, how we react to that price change. Okay, good. So we understand this, and we can talk about income elasticity of demand as well. I would not go deep into this. I'm just going to run through it. Not only price changes, also income also changes our quantity demanded. So we talked about this earlier. So let us just look at it. We have negative income elasticity, and we have positive income elasticity. So I think I could do this again in the next session. So I hope you're looking forward to learning about income elasticity of demand, and we can take some questions on all the types of elasticity we've learned so far. Thank you.